John Timpson was born in 1943 and educated at Oundle School and Nottingham University, where he read industrial economics. Indeed, his family history in Northamptonshire demonstrates some 19th century early entrepreneurship, with his 12-year-old great-grandfather leaving home in 1865 to join an uncle in Manchester making shoes. 4 years later, in 1869, he opened his own shoe shop, having figured out that shoes take a week to make but only a minute to sell. Following his lead, though some years later, John joined a graduate training scheme with C&J Clark at Street before joining the family footwear business William Timpson Limited, becoming the director responsible for buying in 1970. Following the acquisition of the company by the UDS Group in 1973, John became managing director of Swears & Wells Limited, and in 1975 was appointed managing director of William Timpson, the original family business. In 1983, he led a £42 million management buyout of the company, which had become part of the Hanson Trust. In 1987, he sold the shoe shops to rival retailer George Oliver and subsequently concentrated on building up the shoe repairing and key cutting business, which he's diversified into engraving, watch repairs, dry cleaning, and photo processing. In September 1995, he acquired the 120-shop Automagic chain, and in April 2003, bought Minute UK, which added another 350 shoe repair shops. In June 2008, the company acquired over 40 Sainsbury concessions, trading as Purcell Services, and in December 2008, bought 187 shops branded Click and Max Spielman. Timpson now has over 1,000 branches nationwide, with a turnover of £150 million and profits of over £14 million. It's a private business wholly owned by John Timpson and his family. This is remarkable enough and would, I'm sure, constitute a good chunk of curriculum for our business school. But there are also parallel lives to consider. John has been married to his wife Alex for 46 years. They live in Cheshire. They have 5 children: Victoria, James, Edward, Oliver, and Henry. Alex was originally a nursery nurse, and when Edward went to school, imagining perhaps that life seemed quiet, they started fostering. Mr. and Mrs. Timpson were foster carers for 31 years, during which time they fostered 90 children, including a set of triplets. I mentioned that John and Alex started fostering after Edward went to school. Edward is now the MP for Crewe and Nantwich, and he's just won the Dodds Parliamentary Award for Minister of the Year in his capacity as Minister for Children. The citation read, "Mr. Timpson, the Children's Minister, has impressed many with his handling of adoption and fostering services. Having grown up in a household that fostered 90 children, he's overseen changes to make it easier to both foster and adopt." John Timpson himself notes that my 31 years' experience as a foster carer and adoptive parent has given me an insight into the often challenging behaviour of some children who have gone through the care system. "I've written a little book," he says, "which I hope will explain why some children and young people behave in the way they do." His work, A Guide to Attachment, considers attachment and attachment disorders in simple words and pictures, and all proceeds of the book go to the charity After Adoption. In fact, John has authored several books. In 2000, he wrote Dear James, which passes on to his son the lessons learned in 30 years as a chief executive. He describes his business philosophy in the recent work How to Ride a Giraffe, and his latest book, Upside Down Management, was published in April 2010. For 10 years, he has had his own column under the name Timpo in the magazine Real Business, and is a regular contributor and columnist to the Daily Telegraph. One aspect of his business philosophy is community engagement, and his son James has given the firm a particular reputation for employing and working with ex-offenders. Timpson is the UK's most active employer of people from prison, and established the Academy, a program that creates job opportunities for people in that situation. The Timpson Academy also provided bursaries directly to schools, such as that for an extension to the curriculum at Delamere Primary Academy, which has helped transform a school once scheduled for closure into a centre of excellence. Other initiatives include a new beach restaurant on Anglesey, incorporating a chef's academy to train local young people who wouldn't otherwise get the chance of a career. The Timpson business raises £300,000 a year in its shops to provide mentoring support for adoptive families by match funding local authorities, including Cheshire West and Chester, that use After Adoption's Safe Base programme. John Timpson is also a trustee at Uppingham School and was a trustee of Childline until its merger with the NSPCC. He has also been a chair of the governors at Brookway High School in Wythenshawe, Delamere Primary School, Cheshire, and Terra Nova School at Jodrell Bank. In 2004, he was awarded the CBE in the Birthday Honours List for services to the retail sector. For his contribution to business, his determination that business should benefit others, his pioneering approach to employee management, and his contributions to fostering, adoption, and school services, Chancellor, in the name of the Senate and of the Council, I present to you, for admission to the degree of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa, in this university, John Timpson, CBE.
By virtue of the authority invested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa, in this university. It now gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. John Timpson to address the congregation.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me this honour. It's a privilege to be associated with Chester, the university nearest to my home, and to share this occasion with all the others who are graduating today. I'm bound to be a bit envious, being surrounded by many who are setting out on their career when I have 54 working years behind me. But I'm not tempted to hand out any advice. I've found the best way to learn is through your own experience. In the 1960s, my great-grandfather opened a shoe shop in Manchester. So I was born into a family business and never needed a job interview. Everything went to plan until 1972, when there was a big bust-up in the boardroom. My father was fired as chairman, and the family lost control of the business. I was lucky. Within 3 years, I was back running the business. And ever since then, I've learnt to expect the unexpected. I faced some tough decisions. Even 30 years ago, the high street was changing. there were far too many shoe shops, 5 times as many as you see today. We were heading for a loss, so I sold our main shoe shop chain to a competitor. I kept the shoe repairs, but with demand sinking fast, to survive we started key cutting. A fortunate decision that has put us on the road to becoming a high street service chain with over 1,000 shops. It is unwise to run a business by following a set of rules. Policies and processes may guide day-to-day operations, but they don't produce big profits. Our business makes money by doing things like watch repairs, dry cleaning, and taking passport photos. We must know how to do a good job, but also need to look after our customers. I am, therefore, somewhat ashamed to admit that it took me over 20 years to discover the secret behind great customer care. It is so simple and so obvious. The secret is to trust shop colleagues with the freedom to serve customers the way they know best. Our service started improving as soon as we stopped giving orders and allowed team members to alter our prices and handle complaints without having to ask their boss. What we call upside-down management works as long as you pick people with the right personality. When interviewing, qualifications on their own are not enough. We're looking for Mr. Happy, Miss Helpful, Miss Keen, and Mr. Punctual. You don't get good service from Mr. Rude, Miss Dull, Mrs. Lazy, or Mr. Jobsworth. It also took me some time to work out that good management has little to do with chairing meetings, making decisions, or sitting behind a desk issuing orders. The best managers spend a lot of time simply walking around the business, talking face to face, and looking after their team. Management support can go well beyond the workplace. If you find good people, nothing is too good for them. We offer our colleagues free accommodation at 7 company holiday homes, provide a confidential helpline to answer personal problems, make loans to solve short-term debt difficulties, and everyone gets an extra paid holiday on their birthday. I've been lucky. To succeed in business or in any chosen career, you need a fair slice of good luck. And you need good advice. I've been especially fortunate to have a fairy godmother called Alex. Alex is my wife and mentor, who taught me the importance of common sense and having a social conscience. In addition to looking after our children, Alex has been foster carer to 90 more. She, and it is really her, not me, has spent her life looking after others, and that actually does include me. Following her example, our shops raise money to support adoptive families. A Timpson bursary has brought real benefit to Delamere Primary School. We run a chef's academy for young people in our pubs in Anglesey. And James, our eldest son and chief executive, has developed a groundbreaking scheme to employ people from prison. Just under 10% of Timpson colleagues are ex-offenders. Getting involved in significant social projects helps to create a caring company culture that brings a positive response from both colleagues and customers. I have been lucky, and I hope that all those graduating today also have their fair share of good fortune. But at the same time, I hope you all have fun. You're more likely to succeed if you're doing something you enjoy. But there are no guarantees. You never know what will happen next, which is the main reason why I've no thoughts of retirement. Chancellor, thank you for this honorary degree.